Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Steffi. I just got back from Nepal and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that. First of all, most of all, I want to encourage you to live your dream now. I don't know about you. Do you have some dreams that are like on the back burner and maybe have been on the back burner for way, way, way too long? Well, that certainly was the case with me. I started my business in 2005, and part of my goals were, to have more time freedom and more flexibility and be there for our son and our family in general, my husband and our son, whenever we wanted to have that time, needed to have that time without having to ask somebody for permission. And of course, it doesn't make sense to be in business without a real business purpose. So I feel very strongly about what we do with the Brilliance Mind. And you probably know this if you know anything at all about what I do and what I stand for. But so the whole story about Nepal, that desire, I'll tell you real quick how that started. It actually started when I was a teenager. And at the time, I got into rock climbing, I got into mountaineering. I lived in Germany at the time. And you know, Reinhold Messner was a big personality. He climbed one 8,000-meter plus mountain after another, Everest without oxygen, and so forth and so forth. And I was reading this book called Four Against Everest, and one of the basically was a story about four men without a whole army of Sherpas tackling Everest and all the challenges that it entailed. And of course, when you read these stories, there's all kinds of hardship involved with it, from like frozen fingers, frozen feet, and so forth. And I asked myself, is it really worth it, to even think about climbing, the top of Mount Everest or any mountain remotely like this that has this sort of danger in it? And I decided, no, I like to go on adventures where I know I will come back in one piece and with the same number of fingers that I had before. Um, but trekking would be really awesome because you get to go close to those mountains and be in this awesome, just awesome landscape without all that risk. And then life proceeded. I went to the university. I came to the US in 1989. Um, I did a lot of really great things. I canoed 100 miles in the Everglades. I did a lot of things professionally. My career evolved eventually. As I said, I started my business in 2005. Now that's, 18 years now? One heck of a ride it's been. Anyway, so you may have a story like this. You see, that dream had sort of gotten into the background. And then my friend Susie recently, about a year and a half ago or so, asked me, hey, do you want to climb Kilimanjaro with me? There's this program, and it costs so and so many dollars, and it's a year-long preparation plus leadership coaching. And then, we climb Kilimanjaro. And so I thought to myself, let me think about it. And I slept on it. I came back the next day. I woke up with, boy, Kilimanjaro is neat, but really what it is for me, it's trekking in Nepal. And that woke up my dream. So I want to ask you, it's not really about me here, but I wanted to just, you know, see what I could do to wake up your dreams. What are they? What has been on the back burner way too long? And what I found was that once that dream was woken up again, I realized, that is part of what my business ought to be able to deliver to me, is that I can orchestrate it in such a way where I can actually take off 2.5 weeks, have enough money to make this a reality, and just live out loud on my dream. So, what is that dream for you? And I wanted to share with you, as part of this live broadcast, something that I use to actually plan it and then also to capture some of the insights that I've learned. So, here, real quick, and I hope you don't think it's too nerdy. So, well, if you do, then oh well. Okay, so here, this is part of my Notion notebook here. I use it like a second brain. That idea actually comes from, um, what's his name? I'm blanking on his name now. Um, it'll come to me in a minute. Anyhow, uh, so the second brain concept is basically that we can't remember all the things that we come up with, all the things we experience. We're great at coming up with them, but we're not that great at recalling them. So the second brain concept is, I have like a database of all kinds of things that are called brilliance nuggets, things that I think of or things that I've experienced. So I use all that actually I use that to plan my adventure. And you see here, there's a page and there's embedded pages in here. So actually this morning I came back just yesterday afternoon after a long, long, long time of flying. First a 5-hour flight, then 3 hours or layover, and then another nearly 16 hours of flying. Wow. From Qatar, first Kathmandu, Qatar, then Qatar to Dallas in the US. So but I wrote this morning some pages on great people I met during my trip, lessons I learned. Then I wrote down my experiences about trekking gear, what worked, what could have worked better, and, a little bit of money I spent. This was my previous packing list, and what you see here below, are basically things that those things again. And so, if I do this in another year, another 2 years, something like it again, I want to be able to go back to it. So let me click on something here. Let's say trekking gear, right? So I wrote down what was great. I wrote down what was optional and what was not so good. And, I had some very interesting insights. I had a backpack that's like, used to be top notch, top of the line backpack, for example, that, I think the company Lowe's is still considered one of the best companies to make backpacking gear. But I found that uh, mine was heavy, and I need to look into, either newer models, just as heavy, or have they gotten lighter? In any case, a friend of mine bought an off-brand one, and in Nepal spent very little money on it, and it actually worked better than my fancy backpack. Anyhow, those are all like nuggets that I think are worth capturing. And so here I give you lessons learned. So minimizing the weight and a bunch of detail, giving buffer time and not rushing, and inspiration, feet beforehand, skaters, all this kind of stuff. So anyway, what I wanted to show you with this is that as we make our dream a reality, we can gather all the resources in something like a Notion page here, or wherever you gather it, make it sure that it's electronically searchable, I think. And also, then when you come back, before you get back into your work, before, there's other pieces of knowledge impinging on your brain, do a brain dump into something like this Notion thing here, or whatever you use, maybe use Evernote or Microsoft Notes or whatever you do. And by the way, this is methodology that we use in brilliance mining. You see, the easiest form of brilliance mining, of course, is to write down things as they are happening, and that way it is not something that is going to go into the back of your conscious, in the back of your mind, in the something that subconsciously but can't recall. And that's That's very important. So part of what we do in brilliance mining is we actually pull out nuggets of things that you are um, things that you do automatically, that they're unconscious competence, right? So your brilliance, your expertise, your experience, your wisdom is two things. It's knowledge that you know you have, that's conscious knowledge, and then this unconscious knowledge, things that you do automatically. So my point is that if you write things down while they're happening, then they're already documented and you don't have to excavate them later, right? And as it is, you have enough that's unconscious already that needs to be excavated. And by the way, that's part of where this is a really big part of where my business is going, and it may be happening for you as well. You know, as you want to scale your business, you may not want to give up your life in the process. And this, by the way, can sometimes be a reason why you might not want to scale, because you think, oh, if I scale my business, I'm going to have less time. I'm going to have less of why I even start my business, which is freedom, time freedom, and the freedom to do what I want to do whenever I want to do it. If I build a bigger team, then I have all these people asking me for help, and then I won't have all this freedom. So maybe I just stay smaller. But there are ways that you can make your brilliance, you know, the things that are essentially the fuel for your business, independent of you, or largely independent of you, or much less dependent of you in any case. And that's through building these, as I call it, immortal brilliance systems. And actually, as it so happens, you can grow your business into a pretty sizable business without necessarily having a huge team. Or if you do have a bigger team, then we can make sure that your team is not so dependent on you as it is normally in a lot of different companies. So anyway, it came to me, Tiago Forte is the guy who came up with the concept of the second brain, and that's what I'm showing you here. We do incorporate that into our work in the brilliance mining. Anyhow, I'd like to say that shortly I will show you, you know, a bunch of pictures actually from my trip. And, you know, in the meantime, I want to inspire you. What is your dream? How can you make sure that your dream happens sooner rather than later? You know, because it occurred to me that, I mean, trekking in Nepal, it does take some physical, you know, readiness for that. And you know, we don't know necessarily in what sort of condition we will be at what age. So at a certain point, you go like, well, it's now or never, you know, so go do these things. Don't wait. There's always another adventure around the corner. That's at least my opinion. And so, from my heart to yours, live your adventures. Okay, make your dreams a reality, and drop me a line. We're going to do another Q&A here shortly about how you can get to the point quickly where you can actually take off 2 weeks or a little more even, or a lot more, you know, uh, in a way that doesn't harm your business, where things don't collapse behind you. All right. Oh, Matt, I see your comment coming in. That's really cool. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. It was just really amazing. So I hear, in closing, I have to show you this T-shirt here. I went to the Annapurna Base Camp, and this is the whole trek that we did. So um, we had some snow there at 4,130 meters, and boy, it was every bit as good as I thought it would be. And the two people who came with me, Deepak and Diwakar, are just amazing friends. Thank you, namaste, and namaste to you all.